My name is Kevin, a 34-year-old male office worker. I work for a large corporation, but the tasks assigned to me are all very simple. The reason for this is that my boss, Mike, thinks I'm incompetent and never gives me any substantial work. So, I end up doing menial tasks like making coffee and photocopying, just like a handyman. I don't think anyone does these kinds of tasks anymore. If someone wants coffee, they go to the break room themselves, and if they need copies, they make them themselves. But Mike and the others treat me like a gopher, making me do all sorts of odd jobs. However, these tasks are so trivial that I finish them quickly and end up feeling bored. I always wished I could be assigned more challenging and fulfilling tasks. I pride myself on being diligent, but I'm not assertive, so I never stand up to Mike or the others. This has been the case since childhood. In school, from elementary to high school, I was constantly teased by a classmate named Nick. Nick called me a gloomy guy and always laughed at me. Indeed, if I had to choose between being cheerful or gloomy, I'd fall into the latter category. I didn't hang out with the others and spend my breaks reading books or writing stories, so I didn't have any friends. When Nick saw me drawing or writing, he would say things like this: "Yuck, you're drawing pictures even though you're a boy. You're really creepy. Hey, why would you say that? I don't think it's weird at all." Yes, it's weird. I mean, all other 5th grade boys like soccer or baseball, but you're the only one drawing in the classroom. Look, everyone. Kevin is drawing strange pictures. Stop it, please, give it back. Try to take it back if you're so upset. Here. Nick had been harassing me like this since elementary school. He was so unpleasant to be around, but unfortunately, we ended up in the same middle and high schools, which was the worst. In high school, our class decided to do a play for the cultural festival, and Nick, wanting to tease me, nominated me for the lead role. I hated standing out, so I was truly shocked. Kevin should play the lead role of Romeo. What? I think Kevin has great acting skills and will perform wonderfully. I've known him since elementary school, so I know everything about him. Therefore, the role of Romeo should be Kevin's. Just wait a minute. Despite my protests, everyone agreed, and I ended up playing Romeo in Romeo and Juliet, albeit reluctantly. The girl who played Juliet was crying, saying, "I wish I could have performed with a more handsome guy." That was a shock to me, too. I knew I wasn't particularly good looking. I felt sorry for my parents, but I thought my facial attractiveness was below average. Although the girl seemed displeased, the play was a success, and we received a round of applause. But I hated being the center of attention and really wanted to disappear. While everyone else went to a barbecue restaurant to celebrate, I curled up in bed at home. Because of these experiences, I'm still very timid. I can speak up to those in higher positions, so I thought I would continue doing an interesting work. One day, a woman came to our headquarters from a regional office. Her name was Elizabeth, and she was going to be my new boss. She was about 5'3", but she looks a bit taller because of her high heels. Additionally, she's a beauty with a well-defined nose and fair skin. I wondered what I'd do if my direct boss turned out to be a tough character. But Elizabeth wasn't harsh at all and treated me kindly. "Kevin, could you help me with this document preparation?" "Me? Do the document preparation?" "Yes, I was going to ask someone else, but everyone is busy and refused. It's not that you seemed free. Please don't take it the wrong way." "No, I'll do it. Please use me if you think I can be of help." "Great, then I'm counting on you." Elizabeth gave me a task. I was thrilled to finally have a meaningful job after such a long time. Having only done mundane tasks until now, I devoted myself fully to document preparation. Thanks to my efforts, I managed to create a document that was easy to understand and neatly organized. "Elizabeth, I've finished this. Is it okay like this?" "Oh, thank you, it looks great. It's nice and easy to understand when it's organized so cleanly. Kevin, you're good at preparing documents, aren't you? Well, yeah, I mean, I do like doing this kind of work. I'll ask for your help again then. Yes, of course. I felt elated all day because Elizabeth praised my document preparation. But my mood was dampened when Mike called me in and assigned me yet another tedious task. It was to bind printed data into files in the document room. I wondered why he couldn't do such a simple task himself. Moreover, there were 3 boxes worth of files to organize, which was quite a task. My back started to hurt, and by the time I finished, I was completely worn out. I couldn't help but think to myself, they shouldn't have let it pile up this much in the first place. Back at my desk, I saw Elizabeth working diligently. There was a pleasant scent coming from her. Perhaps it was the fragrance of her perfume. I realized I was quite taken with Elizabeth. Or more accurately, she had become quite a significant figure to me. Elizabeth, a graduate of a prestigious university in the city, and having studied abroad in the U.S., exuded an intellectual aura. No wonder many male colleagues were aiming for her. They probably wanted a smart and beautiful woman like her as their girlfriend. Elizabeth, though younger than me at 30, was already a section chief. Being intelligent, attractive, and stylish, she was a woman who couldn't be ignored by anyone. During breaks, male colleagues would flock to invite her to lunch. But she would politely decline everyone's invitations with a smile. Then, she would sit alone at her desk, nibbling on a sandwich. I also preferred eating deli lunches at my desk, so I felt a sense of camaraderie and was somewhat pleased by this similarity. I dislike crowded places like the cafeteria, and I hate going there alone. Once, when I went to the cafeteria by myself, a female colleague said, "Look, there's a loner," and laughed at me. Since then, I never went back. Eating at the popular lunch outside is a hassle because of the lines, and I'd have to rush my meal to get back on time. I didn't want to rush my meal, so deli lunches were more than enough for me. Elizabeth was kind to other female colleagues, but they said she was standoffish because she was an elite. I didn't see her that way. It seemed more like jealousy. She was attractive, had a good figure, and a solid education, so there was a barrier. Also, other female colleagues were married or had children. They would say to her, "You wouldn't understand because you're single." I felt sorry for Elizabeth. She might have her reasons for being single, and I wished they would just leave her alone. Middle-aged women would say, "You better get married soon, or you won't be able to have kids," which was none of their business. No one would want to hear such comments from their peers. Even if I were a woman, I thought I couldn't bear it. But Elizabeth never got angry. Instead, she always laughed it off. One day, Elizabeth said to me, "Could you accompany me to a business meeting tomorrow?" Me. "Yes, I want you to learn. We're planning to collaborate with company to create food products for patients with a certain disease." "Wow, really? Well then, I'll go. I'm not sure if I can be of any help, though. I'm just an inexperienced office worker, after all." "Don't talk about yourself like that. You're working hard, aren't you, Kevin? Education and position don't matter. If you keep at it, you will be rewarded eventually." "Yeah, you're right. I'll do my best. Please take me with you to learn." And so, we headed to the business meeting the next day. Our company, B Corporation, specializes in food products, and A Corporation is in the medical field. Elizabeth mentioned that we were developing food items for patients with a specific illness. I had read the materials she gave me beforehand, thinking about what we were planning to create. The focus was on patients with skin diseases. So, I thought about this for patients with epidermolysis bullosa. Nutrient-packed cookies. Yes, I heard these patients often have difficulty with nutritional intake, so I thought cookies packed with nutrients might work. But you see, Patients with epidermolysis bullosa also have mucosal lesions and might find it painful to eat something like cookies. Ah, I see. David from a corporation listened to Elizabeth's idea with a frown. Epidermolysis bullosa is a complex skin condition where the skin is fragile and easily forms blisters. It can occur anywhere on the body, including inside the mouth. For moderate to severe cases, oral intake becomes difficult, and patients struggle to eat. We need nutrition to survive, but eating becomes a challenge. However, David was concerned that nutrient-packed cookies might be too hard and hurt the mouth. Indeed, cookies are crunchy. We tried selling beverages before, but they didn't sell well because they tasted bad. Really? I see. A corporation's beverage was thick and unappetizing. To put it bluntly, it felt undrinkable. The beverage was drinkable, but its thick, unpleasant texture and taste made people feel sick, especially children. What should we do? It's hard to find something that's both nutritious and enjoyable for everyone. You're a food company, right? Shouldn't you come up with something easier to eat or drink? Our company is a medical manufacturer, so you should be better at this, right? Yes, well, I had gathered opinions, and cookies seemed like a reasonable choice. Really? This is not going anywhere. We asked for your help because we're in trouble. This won't help the patients. I'm sorry, let me think about it again. But we have a tasting session for the patients next month. We can't wait any longer. Well, Elizabeth was in a tight spot. That's when I made a suggestion. How about chocolate or marshmallows? What? Think of chocolate that melts in the mouth, not the hard, crunchy kind. Maybe something with a texture like ganache. And marshmallows are soft and melt in the mouth, too. Plus, they can be nutrient-richer, even kids would enjoy it. And that sounds better than these prototype cookies. Yes, it's a good idea to market it as a snack that is easy to eat while still providing nutrition, rather than just as a dietary supplement. There are various types of this disease, and some types particularly affect the mouth and esophagus, causing blisters and erosions. So, we should highlight the melting texture. As for your company's beverage, it's a bit difficult to say, but it was quite thick and reminded me of barium. Exactly, I thought it resembled barium. It also reminded me of the nutritional drink my father had to consume when he was hospitalized with cancer. Unfortunately, the combination of ingredients made it taste bad. I thought about pudding or jelly, but they don't have a long shelf life. So, I thought melt-in-your-mouth candy would be better. What do you think, David? Yes, that makes sense. Pudding is easy to eat but has a short shelf life, and we want to produce a large quantity. Then let's go with chocolate and marshmallows. It's winter, so it'll be perfect for Valentine's Day. Oh, that's true. Please do that. Could you email us the details, Kevin? Yes, I'll send you a quote right away. Once I confirm it with my supervisor, I'll get back to you. Elizabeth looked at me intently. Her eyes were wide, probably wondering why someone like me, who she considered an inexperienced worker, would make such a suggestion. On the way back to the office, I explained to her that there are 4 main types of epidermolysis bullosa and the various treatment methods. Elizabeth nodded, taking notes and asking me questions. Kevin, you're really talented, aren't you? You said you were just an incompetent employee, but I don't see you that way. Perhaps you are someone with incredible knowledge. Ahaha, no way, that's not true at all. Come on. You must be a real elite, right? You probably attended a more prestigious university than I did and have lots of qualifications, right? Kevin, who are you really? Please, tell me honestly. Elizabeth's eyes were serious. Realizing it was futile to hide it any longer, I decided to reveal my background. I'm a college graduate. At least, that's true. Really? I thought so, but may I ask which university? I thought she was just asking out of curiosity. ABC Medical University. What? I graduated from the medical school. Actually, I have both a medical license and a lawyer's qualification. Wait, you're from the medical school, so you were a doctor? No, I passed the national medical examination but didn't become a doctor. And a lawyer too. Did you go to law school, Kevin? It's impossible to have such a background. No, that's the truth. Actually, I obtained my lawyer's qualification through the preliminary examination route. The preliminary examination route. I heard it's more challenging than passing the exam after graduating from law school. Kevin, why did you say you were just an incompetent employee? You're an incredible person with hidden academic credentials and background. Ahaha, well, I was only good at studying. I was always teased by classmates for that. I also wrote novels and drew pictures, but was told it was creepy. You're an incredible genius, like a modern-day Da Vinci. Amazing, Kevin. Thank you for helping me earlier. I was panicking and didn't know how to respond to David. Thank you so much. No, I'm not that great. I had hidden my educational background at the company. But I didn't lie about it during my job application, as that would be misrepresentation. I had correctly listed my university on my resume. However, at B Corporation, a large company, only HR and top management knew about my education, background, and qualifications. Mike and other colleagues probably thought I was just another graduate student. Since medical school is a 6-year program, they assumed I was a graduate student. Mike always yelled at me, saying, "You spent years in school and you are still useless." That's when I decided to play the part of an incompetent graduate. Rumor-loving people were spreading that I had attended a graduate school at some university. But I decided to act as if I had never attended any graduate school and was a hopeless person. There was a reason I pretended to be incapable. I became distrustful of people because of the harassment I faced from my classmate Nick. The only thing I loved was studying. So, I entered medical school, studied hard, and aspired to become a doctor. However, during my 6th year, a traumatic event occurred during my practical training. A little girl with a rare skin disease, who was under my care, passed away. She had a skin condition and succumbed to an infection. People with skin diseases are prone to infections, so care is crucial. But even with careful attention, fragile skin easily becomes infected. I wished such diseases didn't exist in this world. At the same time, I realized that doctors can't save everyone. My parents had paid for my education, so I took the national exam but decided not to become a doctor. I wondered if there was another way to help people, so I decided to become a lawyer. Of course, I had no time or financial support to attend law school. So, I chose to take the legal bar preliminary examination. First, I had to pass the preliminary exam to qualify for the actual bar exam. Frankly, I think it's more challenging than passing the bar exam after graduating from law school. But I passed and later completed my legal training, obtaining a lawyer's qualification. However, another tragedy struck then. My mentor was victimized by a vengeful client and suffered terribly. Eventually, my mentor passed away. I decided to become a lawyer to help others, but the thought of being resented like that was unbearable. So, I chose to work as a regular office worker instead. During interviews, I was repeatedly questioned whether I, a medical school graduate with both medical and legal qualifications, wanted to be a regular employee. But I just wanted a peaceful life, so I gave non-offensive, standard answers. That's how I ended up here. Initially, I was enthusiastic about my work, but I started being called overeager for my age and a nuisance, so I stopped trying. Most of the new graduates were from 4-year colleges, unlike me, who spent years in medical school and legal training. I was treated as a useless person just because I was older, but I didn't care anymore. Indeed, the work assigned to me wasn't interesting, and I wanted something more fulfilling, but I hated being in difficult situations. I just didn't want to take on any responsibility. But this time was different. Elizabeth was in trouble, and I wanted to help her. Since she had recently been paying attention to me, I just thought about what I could do for her. When I shared my past with Elizabeth, she had tears in her eyes. I felt a bit happy realizing she was crying for me. Kevin, you're a very kind person. Perhaps you were too kind, which made it hard for you to become a doctor or a lawyer. But I think that's nothing to be ashamed of. It just means you have a pure heart. Do you think so? Oh, right. I need to email David. I'll hurry and make the estimate. Can I also prepare the documentation? I think I can do it in about an hour. Really? In just 1 hour? You're truly amazing. I'm so surprised. It's not that big of a deal. All right, I'll leave it to you. I prepared the documents and the estimate and attached them to an email. When I sent it to David, his boss called early the next morning. His boss liked my idea and wanted to place an order. A corporation sells medical devices and supplies, but also nutritional supplements. They sell supplements and similar products. They were planning a joint development project, combining their supplement powder with our company's confectionery ingredients. Our chocolates and marshmallows were inexpensive but popular for their delicious taste. I asked the development department to adjust the texture to create melt-in-the-mouth chocolate and marshmallows. We had to ensure that the addition of a corporation's supplement powder didn't ruin the taste or texture. They planned to sell it as a private brand in a group's pharmacies, among other places. I hoped not only people with skin diseases but also those who wanted to easily consume nutrients-rich sweets would find these products appealing. Once we received the order from a corporation, we worked at a rapid pace to develop the product. We created smooth-textured chocolates and marshmallows that melted softly in the mouth. When David tried them, he was full of praise. "This is incredible. I didn't expect such smoothness from chocolate. It's not as soft as ganache but melts the moment it's in the mouth. Yes, we made it so it wouldn't melt easily in your hand, yet melts delightfully in your mouth. Let me try the marshmallow. Wow, it melts too. It's like meringue dissolving. Jess, we worked on making it fluffy and melting. What do you think? It's great. It doesn't taste like a typical nutritional supplement, and I think people with illnesses, even kids, will happily eat it. It's bound to be popular." "That's great to hear. Thank you. Can you take a large order for next month?" "Yes, we'll do our best." "We did it, thanks to you, Kevin. It's not just me. It was possible because of the development team, and your suggestions were very helpful, Elizabeth." "No, my suggestions weren't that significant." "No, they were very helpful. Since the successful launch of our new chocolate and marshmallow products, we have been extremely busy. Orders started pouring in, and we received inquiries from many clients besides pharmacies. With so many orders, we definitely need to increase our production capacity." "Yes, but we also need to find more suppliers for our materials, and we need to expand our production lines. I wonder if there's a suitable location." We all started looking for a factory. Ultimately, it was thanks to a corporation's assistance that we found a large one. They had greatly benefited from our partnership, so they introduced us to a factory they knew as a gesture of gratitude. Once production began in the factory, we were able to achieve significant sales. Our products were well received not only by patients but also by the general public, who purchased them in large numbers. Of course, a corporation's tasting event was a huge success, and we were thanked for it. I had never been thanked like this before, so it made me very happy. We did it. This quarter's profits are likely to soar, thanks to you, Kevin. I really appreciate it. Yes, it's all thanks to everyone's efforts, and thank you too, Elizabeth. No, I didn't do anything worth being thanked for. Yes, you did a lot. How about we go out for drinks to celebrate? Both a corporation and our president Aaron are delighted with the event's success. with me. Is that a problem? No, I'll come. I'd never been out for drinks alone with a woman, so my heart was pounding. Elizabeth took me to a stylish bar, and I entered, feeling nervous. It was a bit dark, like a grown-up's hideaway. I'd never been to such a fancy place and wondered how to handle the bill. Elizabeth seemed to be a strong drinker, ordering several rounds. I was slightly tipsy by my second drink, my heart racing. I had never imagined enjoying drinks like this with such a wonderful person, almost like a date. I realized I was deeply in love with her and impulsively confessed. It was my first confession ever. Elizabeth, I like you. Sorry for saying this so suddenly. I honestly expressed my feelings to her. It was a heart-thumping moment, my first ever confession. She looked surprised at first but then smiled warmly. Really? That's great. I like you too, Kevin. What? You didn't realize. I always ate at my desk because I wanted to be with you. I thought you had some reason for not going to the cafeteria. Making a woman say this, isn't it normal to want to be with someone you like all the time? You like me. Yes, I've liked you from the beginning. You're hardworking, sincere. It's not about your education. I've been watching you all this time. Is that so? Elizabeth and I, both blushing, walked home hand in hand. Our hands felt warm, maybe because we were tipsy. It was a moment when I realized I'm really happy. Until now, I think I've lived a life filled with worries. Despite having a gifted mind, I never fully engaged in anything due to my personality. I learned that being good at studying doesn't necessarily mean being useful in society, but now I want to contribute more to the company. And that wouldn't be possible without Elizabeth. She was the only one in the company who was kind to me. Afterward, we introduced each other to our friends and spent more time together. We went on drives, visited delicious restaurants, and even went to the pool in the summer, creating many memories. We were dating, but we kept our relationship a secret at the company. However, it gradually became known. Around that time, Elizabeth had started talking to the other female employees. She had been disliked by some for being perceived as overly intellectual, but those employees apologized to her. Then, one day, we decided to meet each other's families. Elizabeth's family was very warm and welcomed me as a new member of their family. My family also welcomed Elizabeth with open arms. With the blessings of both our families, our bond grew even stronger. Eventually, we decided to get married. I was extremely nervous when proposing, but seeing Elizabeth's joy made me realize that spending a week choosing the engagement ring was worth it. On the wedding day, seeing Elizabeth in her dress, I was struck by her beauty. And when she smiled and said, "Thank you for everything. I love you," I felt I was at the peak of happiness. Since then, we have been living a happy married life. Meeting Elizabeth was the greatest fortune of my life. Without her, I wouldn't be the person I am today. We vowed to support and encourage each other and face life's challenges together. Our days are filled with happiness. From now on, I will do everything in my power for my wife. Is it really okay for me to quit? I asked my boss in front of me, seeking confirmation. Rather, I want you to quit as soon as possible, especially now when the severance pay we owe you is minimal. My younger female boss responded, adding insult to injury. Her words led me to head home. After this, the company is going to face serious trouble. Little did my female boss know what was coming. My name is Thomas Richardson, 55 years old. After my divorce, I joined this company as a mid-career hire and have been working here for 30 years. I'm approaching retirement, with less than 5 years left, but I'm still considered a sidelined employee. I haven't seen my child in over 30 years. My ex-wife didn't want us to meet. There was a dispute at the time, but now I've come to terms with it. As a parent, I only wanted to fulfill my duty of paying child support, which ended when my child became an adult. I don't have any plans to spend money on anything special now. I've never had a desire for promotion, so I'm grateful for my current work environment where I can take things easy. My hobbies are fishing and golf. I often go alone on my days off, but I've made friends and had various conversations with people I meet there. One of these friends owns a boat and sometimes takes me out to sea, and another, a farmer, shares homegrown vegetables with me. I don't have a family, but I don't feel lonely, thanks to these expanding social connections. I really enjoy living my days at my own pace. One day, I arrived at the office to find everyone in a frenzy. "What's going on?" I asked Mark, a junior colleague sitting next to me. It turns out, there's a sudden inspection from the headquarters. That's where everyone's suddenly cleaning up. They should just show it as it is, I said with a laugh and sat down to start my work. We've had such inspections before, but they never really posed a problem. The employees hurrying to tidy up were the ones who didn't keep their desks organized regularly. If they had just done the bare minimum of tidying every day, they wouldn't be panicking like this now. I've only understood the importance of daily tidying at my age, so I can't say much. A few hours later, the inspectors from the headquarters arrived. The person in charge of our department was a young woman. However, it seems she holds the position of a manager. Watching her greet us, I assumed she must be quite capable. "Hello, I'm Jessica from the headquarters. Today, I'm here to observe your work. Please continue with your usual tasks." We nodded in response to her greeting and began our usual work. "She's beautiful." Some of the younger male employees seemed a bit excited by her presence, which made me chuckle at their youthfulness. "What does this mean?" Jessica was asking questions and smiling as she inspected each employee's work. Then, she came to me. What is that part-timer doing right now?" Her question was directed at me. I'm a full-time employee," I said with a forced smile. "Oh, I'm sorry. Are you a supervisor?" Jessica apologized. No, I'm just a regular employee without a title." "Well, about my current work," I was about to explain when her tone changed abruptly. "What?" Jessica's voice took on a sharp edge. I looked up at her voice. "A regular employee, at your age." Her words were cutting. She seemed angry, and I felt intimidated. Yes, I've never been much interested in climbing the corporate ladder." I stumbled over my words, and she burst out laughing. "Isn't it simply because you can't do the job? Incompetent and old. You're fired as of today. Don't bother coming in tomorrow," she said harshly. Not just me, but the surrounding employees were stunned by her words. "We can afford to pay incompetent people. This is necessary for the company's cost-cutting. There are plenty of others who can replace you." Realizing I was being insulted, I clenched my fist in anger. Sure, she might be competent, but that doesn't give her the right to belittle others. Annoyed, I stood up and said to her, "Is it really okay for me to quit?" I asked Jessica for confirmation. "Rather, I'd prefer you quit now while we can still save on severance pay." She insulted me further with a satisfied smile. I no longer felt like working. I had been told to leave. It wouldn't be marked as an absence. I picked up my bag and left the company. As I left the department, everyone tried to stop me, but nobody dared speak in front of Jessica. My direct boss, Samuel, had more authority than Jessica, but there's a tradition in our company of not opposing headquarters staff. Samuel said nothing, and I walked home alone. The next day was Saturday, and the company was already closed. Wondering what to do from Monday, I decided not to waste the holiday worrying and went fishing instead. I'd think things through while doing something I enjoy. Fishing is the perfect hobby for that. I went fishing early in the morning. It was my usual, favorite fishing spot. Despite my mood, the sea was calm, promising a good night with good fish. With that thought, I cast my line. "Hey, I thought you might be here." Someone called out to me. "Max." It was my fishing buddy, Max Stewart. We met here. He's 10 years older than me, but a dear friend who looks after me and listens to my stories. "Any luck today?" "This is good, so I hoped for a big catch, but it's not going as expected," I said, opening my box. "Only one fish so far." Max laughed at that. "Well, no rush," he said, setting up his gear a little away from me. Clouds drifted slowly by. Even though the fishing scenery was the same as always, my mood was notably heavier, probably due to what happened yesterday. "What's wrong? You look down today," Max said. I laughed at his words. "Max, I have something I need to apologize to you for." "What do you mean?" Then I began to speak slowly. "Actually, there was an inspection from the headquarters last Friday. I met a manager there for the first time, and it seems she took a dislike to me," I said, laughing to hide my embarrassment. "I was told not to come back. I got angry and left. I might end up getting fired. I've shared so much with you, and you've encouraged me. I'm sorry." "No need to apologize to me," Max said, then silently stared at his float in the sea, occasionally sighing deeply as if pondering something. "I'd rather live a relaxed life than get busy with promotions, but it seems that hard-working youngsters don't like that. Relationships are harder than work, aren't they?" I said earnestly, and Max replied, "Well, I can understand the supervisor's feelings, but it's wrong to unjustly fire someone. A supervisor should understand their subordinates' feelings and situations. That's what she lacks. People who climb the ladder just based on their brains or performance often misunderstand things." I admired Max's wisdom. He got angry for me and cared about my situation. Talking to him made me feel much better. Just talking to someone can make such a difference. I thanked Max and shifted my mood. After that, I caught more fish than ever. Perhaps the fish didn't want to come near me with my dark aura. While thinking this, I returned home with a heavy cooler box. 2 days later, on Monday. Despite it being a work day, I stayed at home. I had been pushed out in such a manner, I was unsure whether to go back. Max, whom I met on Saturday, gave me advice. "The company is all about people. You don't need to apologize to them. Wait until they come to you. You've been working hard and must have a lot of paid leave, right?" Indeed, I never used my paid leave, so I must have a few days' worth. Maybe it's a good time for a trip. While thinking this, enjoying a leisurely morning coffee on a weekday felt novel. As I was about to have a late breakfast, my phone rang. It was a call. It was the ringtone of a phone call. When I looked at the screen, it displayed the name of the company I work for, along with the name of my department. What could it be? I had informed Samuel about using my leave. "Hello." As soon as I answered, I heard Samuel's frantic voice. "Thomas, come to the office right away." "Why? I told you I'm using my leave," I replied. But Samuel insisted. "Please, just come. We're in big trouble. Our biggest client says they'll cancel all contracts if you're fired. Please come and help continue the contract." I laughed cynically. "Why should I go and beg? You saw the exchange the other day, right? Jessica told me I'm fired, to go home. If she doesn't admit her fault and apologize by the time my leave is used up, then I'll have nothing to do with the company anymore. So, I don't care about future contracts," I said, sipping my coffee. "Don't say that. I know how hard you've worked. That should be enough." It's nice of you to say so, but whether Jessica is a headquarters supervisor and I'm a low-level employee, it doesn't give her the right to be rude. You understand that, right, Samuel? Please, consider the future in the company," I said and hung up the phone. I had somewhat anticipated this development, but for Jessica, it must have been like a bolt from the blue. I might have caused trouble for everyone at the branch. However, Max's words, "Don't apologize to the company," stuck with me. And then, in the evening of that day, I received a call from the headquarters on my cell phone. It was probably her. Expecting to be insulted again, I cleared my throat and answered the call. Hello, this is Jessica from the headquarters. Is this Thomas's phone?" "Yes, it is. What do you want?" I replied coldly, and she spoke with a lowered voice. "I'm truly sorry for the disrespectful things I said the other day. I would like to apologize personally, which is why I'm calling you." Her voice lacked the confidence and assertiveness from before. Perhaps her behavior during the inspection had been reported to the headquarters and she had been reprimanded by her superiors. Understood. I thought it wouldn't hurt to at least hear her out. She suggested meeting at a restaurant our company frequently uses for clients and wanted to meet that evening. I was on leave and agreed to meet her that night. I arrived at the restaurant first. I never thought we'd be having a meal together, but probably, she was instructed to apologize to me to salvage the major contract. I could sense the desperation of the company. "I'm sorry for being late," Jessica said as she entered the room. We sat down across from each other. "I'm sorry for calling you out like this today." She seemed on the verge of tears. Feeling a bit sorry for her, I smiled and said, "Your feelings have already come across, Jessica. I came here today to forgive you, but your view is too biased. I'm not in a position to preach, but I wanted to have a talk." Encouraged by my words, she started to speak. "Actually, I was raised in a single-parent family by a strict mother. She believed that since we were already at a disadvantage, I had to beat others, regardless of gender, in academics and attitude. She insisted that I should study hard, join a reputable company, and climb the corporate ladder. I also believed that approach was necessary to survive in society." She spoke without touching her food. I replied, "That's true. It's not wrong and is actually a wonderful approach." "Thank you," she said, and I smiled at her. Jessica, slightly reassured, continued, "So, I thought, I'm working this hard, and maybe unknowingly pushed that onto others. And I got targeted because, even at my age, I haven't climbed the ranks." I laughed, understanding her point, and she shrank a bit with guilt. I had no intention of blaming her anymore. She must have been trying her best in her own way. Then, seeing her still hesitant, I encouraged her to eat. She was probably hungry after a long day. We both picked up our chopsticks together. I mused that it had been a while since I had a meal with someone. But while I was feeling relaxed, she still seemed a bit down. "Well, a company doesn't run just on its superiors. You're still young. It's good that you realize this now." I smiled, trying to encourage her. Finally, Jessica seemed to truly relax. "Thank you," she said to me and then started eating. Her mother must have been desperate to raise her well. She seemed like a well-disciplined lady. After that, we engaged in casual conversation. I, who had not attended university, listened to her stories about her college days and about the situation at the headquarters. The ice was broken, and we enjoyed our meal together. During our conversation, she asked me a question. "By the way, why did Mr. Stewart, the president of our main contractor, say he would cancel the contract if you weren't there?" I laughed. "Max and I are fishing buddies. We met by chance and became good friends. I talked earnestly about work, and that's why they contracted with us. Of course, it's not just because we're friends. He was convinced by my proposal. She was surprised. To think you secured such a major contract. Then she fell silent. I understood what she wanted to say. She was probably wondering why I hadn't climbed a corporate ladder despite securing such a major contract. I really had no desire for promotion, I said with a smile, and she smiled back. Well, there are others in charge of Max's company, but he often contacts me directly. He knew I was sincere, so he trusted me as a business partner, and we've had a good relationship. That's how it was. You've been supporting the company as a hidden pillar, and I was just, don't worry about it anymore. She wasn't a bad person. Being in a managerial position at her age at our company meant she must have worked very hard. Jessica seemed to be reflecting on her actions, feeling ashamed for only seeing the surface and results. If you've reflected, just keep working hard from now on. I'm already 55, close to retirement, and don't have a family, so I don't plan to pursue promotions, but I think your approach is not wrong. Good luck. I encouraged her again. Then, Jessica looked up. No family. Right. I don't have anything to protect, so I plan to live a carefree life from now on. She smiled gently in response to my smile. Hearing about my way of living, she probably thought to herself that such a life is also possible. I decided to work hard so that she and the younger employees could thrive in the company even after my retirement. I returned to work, cutting my leave short. My colleagues in the department were relieved to see me back. When they started to speak ill of Jessica, I said, I've made peace with her. I've heard her reasons. She's a colleague in the company. Let's stop attacking her. I was thankful they stood up for me, but bad-mouthing only breeds more negativity. Everyone agreed with my words. And so, I was able to return to my original environment and gratefully resume my work. A few months later, while enjoying my usual routine at work and fishing with Max and other friends on my days off, I heard a rumor amidst these peaceful days. Jessica is said to have faked her performance for promotion and is going to face a disciplinary meeting. I was surprised. Facing a disciplinary meeting. This could mean demotion, a pay cut, or, in the worst case, a disciplinary action. I couldn't believe Jessica would do such things. We really talked a lot that day. Her face, as she spoke about her efforts and the challenges she faced in her work, showed no signs of deceit. Of course, if she truly did wrong, she should be punished and reflect. But if it was a false accusation, it would be too unfair. If there was even a slight chance of a wrongful accusation, I wanted to help clear her name. After what happened, I couldn't see her as a stranger anymore. Of course, anything I could investigate, the HR department had already looked into. But still, I reviewed the documents she created and the records of transactions I heard about. Among them were documents from companies where my golf friends are managers or executives. I reached out and spoke to various people, confirming there was no wrongdoing in her dealings. Furthermore, everyone unanimously said, Jessica really worked hard for us. Then, I advised this to HR. The HR manager, Tyler, is my contemporary. Though he's younger than me since I was hired mid-career, we've known each other for a long time. If Thomas says so, it must be right. He believed my words. Later, I found out that the source of the rumor was the work of her older subordinates who were jealous of Jessica. I was dismayed to realize that there are petty people everywhere. Those individuals apparently faced disciplinary action. A few days later, Jessica came back to our department. Thomas, can I talk to you for a moment? She asked. Nervously, I followed her into a separate room. She said, Thank you for the other day. I heard from Tyler that you helped clear my name. I really appreciate it. Then, she expressed her gratitude. I responded. It's nothing. I couldn't believe that you would do such a thing. It was just a little talk since Tyler happened to be my contemporary. I said this with a laugh, even though my heart was racing. But I had something I needed to say. Can I tell you something? I asked Jessica. She tilted her head curiously. Actually, I went through various documents you prepared. That's when I first learned your family name. I looked down. In fact, I was too nervous to look up. My family name. It's Harford, Jessica said. I gathered my courage and spoke what I needed to say. Actually, my ex-wife's maiden name was Harford, and our daughter, who we've been separated from since she was 2, is named Jessica. What? She exclaimed, her eyes widening in shock. I finally looked up, scratching my head. I thought it must be a coincidence, but just in case. She filled her eyes with tears and stared at me intently. I waited for her words. Thomas Richardson is my father's name. I learned it when I saw my mom's diary, and at her words, I was astounded. It's me, I murmured naturally, almost without thinking. Tears embarrassingly began to fall from my eyes. Hearing my words, Jessica cried out like a child and clung tightly to me. I hesitantly wrapped my arms around her. The last time I held her was when she was 2. Realizing how much she had grown, I was moved again by her struggles. Is your mother well? I asked, and she nodded happily. I was grateful to my ex-wife for raising her so well. I never imagined reuniting like this. I thought I had no family left, yet she was so close all along. My encounters and earnest efforts had finally paid off for my daughter. I realized into the importance of trust in relationships. Hard work eventually pays off, becoming a tool to help oneself and loved ones in unexpected ways. And then there's me with no desire for promotion, and my daughter with her high aspirations. Though our thoughts differ, our sincerity in wanting the best for the company is undeniable. That's why we should continue living honestly according to our beliefs. I want to live a relaxed life, but will work diligently until retirement to leave some savings for my daughter. I'll respect her wishes and fully support her desire to succeed. That way, we both will surely find happiness.